everyone, my name is Kudzie Mapiye, and on this channel I do videos about my life living here in Australia, and I also share different life lessons that I've learned along the way. I also offer one-on-one online coaching sessions for all current and potential migrants, so please head over to my website to find out more about the service. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I really love, which is how to make more money. Today, I'm going to be sharing 3 ways you can double your income in Australia. And I know, there's times are tough at the moment. People are looking to do more with their money, and who doesn't want to earn more money? Now, I'm going to be sharing 3 things which are proven and things that I have had experience of, whether directly or indirectly, by people very close to me who have told me about these things. So I know that these things actually work and people are actually doing these things even right now in 2024. So the first thing that I want to share, which is a sure way to double your income, is, and just to give you an idea, a general idea of how much money kind of most Australians make, like most people in Australia. I'll focus mainly in Brisbane because that's where I live. So most people in Brisbane will be taking home, this is after tax, on average, like I'll say between 800 and 1.5 thousand Australian dollars a week after tax. That's just like the majority of people. Now, there are people who earn lower than that, and there are people who earn slightly higher than that. Now, I'm talking if you're just in a normal job. I'm not talking about a lot of like senior level positions. Just if you're in a just a general position at work. So I don't want to skew the data by talking about like more senior roles and stuff. So we'll focus on that 800 to 1.5 take home pay a week. Now, if you want to earn more money, pretty much double your income, one sure way to do it is regional work. Now, regional work has become so popular right now in Australia. And what regional work is where you go to like other regional areas outside of the main cities, other like smaller towns and cities, to go and do work, either for a long-term period or for a short-term period. And people who are in regional areas usually pay more money for certain professions. And this includes like if you're in the mining industry, healthcare industry, etc. And I'll just share my personal experience. I think I've shared this before on my channel, but about 14 years ago, when I first entered like the workplace as a like qualified person, the first ever like job offer or close to job offer I ever got was in a regional area. Now, this was like in the outskirts of Queensland. It was like in a desert like area, very far away, like it's somewhere you probably fly and not drive, and very remote area, like not much going there at all. They told me that at the interview, and this was for a big mining company. It's a big international mining company. I really don't want to say the name here, but it's a big like international mining company that I had applied to, and it was in a place called is it like Konorura? I couldn't even pronounce it. Like that's how remote it was. I had never heard of this place, but I had just found that job and I applied because it was an entry-level job, and it was something that I was qualified for because I was like fresh out of uni, so I didn't have much work experience, so I really needed to get into an entry-level position. Now, what they were offering me for an entry-level position was 160,000 Australian dollars. This is 14 years ago, as an entry-level position, and this 160,000 included about a 20,000 relocation fee, so I think it would end up to be like 140,000. I remember just asking like, how much? And I'm not sure if maybe that's why I didn't end up getting the job, but I went through, I actually got an offer like over the phone, and they told me that I was going to be called like by the next level managers up, and they were going to organize my visit to the site. So I was going to fly to the site and they're going to show me around the site. And I thought like it was locked in, I had gotten this position. But they then called me, and this was after like 2 interviews I think that I had to go through, and then they called me that, oh sorry, unfortunately you didn't get that position. It was really bizarre the way they went about it, but you know, I had thought that I had this job locked in. But what they did tell me, I remember in one of the interviews, they're like, do you know that this is a very remote area? And my answer to everything was yes, 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 because I was so intrigued. Like I was so interested in how much they were offering to pay. And they're like, there's pretty much like nothing that you can do here. You have to be really into like the outdoors lifestyle. Like, do you really like the outdoors? And I said yes. And if you know me, you know I do not like outdoors. I am such a homebody. I love spending time indoors. I love spending time at home. So like being outdoors was not for me. But I think just being inexperienced and desperate for a job, I was just answering yes to everything. And they told me that like there's not much going on, you like not a lot of shops, not a lot of other things to get into. You have to be like really into the outdoors, like, you know, camping or kayaking, just doing things in nature, because that was like, you know, the kind of form of entertainment that they had. And you know, I was like, wow, for $140,000-$160,000, that's all right. Like I can get into camping for that amount of money. But just to give you a bit of perspective, I ended up getting, since I didn't get that role, the entry level role that I did end up getting at that time was paying just over half, like almost half the amount of money that I had been offered in that role. So it was like, if I had taken that role, I would be earning double what I would have been earning for the same amount of for the similar job. Now, what they did tell me is these were 12-hour shifts. The job I ended up going for was 8-hour shifts a day. So they say that you work 12-hour shifts like Monday to Friday. So Monday to Friday, you're working 12 hours. So that's one thing to consider about regional work. Most jobs in like regional areas, they are 12-hour jobs, whether you're in healthcare, you're in like mining industry, an aspect of mining, or you know, you are just doing a regional work in the outskirts. They usually offer 12-hour roles, and you have to be prepared to work 12 hours. And if you are not used to that, like that's something that you will have to get accustomed to, I guess. So that is one of the things that you need to know about regional work, is the long hours. The other thing is the distance from your family. At that time I was single, so I didn't really have, you know, a lot of responsibilities that I had to be home for. Like right now I've got 2 kids. It's a different ball game for me. But back then I was more flexible and could really go around and work anywhere in Australia, really. But that's another thing to consider, the distance from home. So a lot of people will have to either go and stay there, move there, or fly in and fly out, which is usually on a 2-week schedule. Like you go to work for 2 weeks and then you fly back home for like a week or 2. Sometimes it's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It really depends on the type of job. So if you're someone who's looking to double your income, you are prepared to take to do what it takes, like, you know, to be able to work far away, you can consider looking for regional work in Australia, or work in like, you know, remote areas, like remote work. You can search remote work on job search websites, and you find that, you know, they usually pay a lot more money. And it's a lot of people have been doing that, and they have been finding that they are gaining a lot financially, and they're able to achieve the things that they wanted to achieve in a shorter space of time. So depending on what your income is, just imagine double that, and plus the conditions. That's one thing that you can do if you're looking to earn more. The second thing is contract work. Now, contract work, like contract stroke project work, and this is usually with like a lot of private companies who do like, you know, project management, whether it's in construction. And this one, it doesn't even have to be regional work. It could be any type of project work where they're looking to just get a piece of work done, and you have to be, it's in a specialty area, either project management, change management, workplace health and safety, like specialist areas, engineering. Like there are things that you can go into, and they're running a project for like 2 years. It's usually 18 months. Like actually project work ranges from like 6 months to 2 years usually. So but you earn a lot of money, and I had recent opportunities where I was offered some project work which was going to see me earning double what I was earning right now. But the drawback was it was a short-term contract. So that means that, you know, you have to be prepared that when that project is over, you will not have any work. You have to find another project to go onto. So you don't have that security of employment. And most project roles, they're not going to extend you. Like, you know, sometimes if you get a temporary role in a company, you can be like, okay, they might extend me. But with project work, it's like once the project is done, the project is done. Like there's nothing more that they can do. They can't just keep you on once they've completed the work, whether they're building something or like trying to implement a system, whatever it is. If the project is done, the project is done. You have to finish work. So you have to be prepared to look for more work and really be on the go, have a lot of connections, knowing that, you know, a lot of like, you know, employment agents that you're working with, you know, that after this project is over, you've got another one lined up. So it's a little bit unstable in that way, but the advantage is you stand to earn a lot of money in a short space of time. And if you have some financial goals that you want to achieve, that is a really good way to do it. And if you're like technically qualified in a specific area, it's a way to really maximize your expertise and go and offer your services where you can earn more money. And, you know, it just depends on what you value, what you're into. Like at the moment, like I said, for me, stability is something that's very important because my kids are very young and I want to be there to support them. But for other people where they have maybe help, other people who can help them with the kids if they've got young kids, or, you know, their kids are a little bit older, or they don't have kids, that's a really good option to consider. And you get to like travel to different areas, kind of see the world and earn more money. So that's another way that I know for sure people are earning more, like doing contract work, project work. Like just look for, like, you can search websites looking for like short-term contracts, contract work, project management work, those kind of jobs. Like if you're very specific with your search, you're more likely to get what you're looking for. And even imagine if you couple contract work in regional areas, like you can really start raking it in financially. So there are people, I actually have a friend of mine who I used to work in the same team with, who actually went to do one of these project roles, and she ended up getting double the amount of money that, you know, we were earning where we were working. And she was like, hey, like I'm working more flexibly, it's project work, but it was only for I think a 12-month period, but she was earning double after tax what we used to earn. So it was something that was really good for her. And there are people who just go, because once you're in that industry, like if you're doing like contract work, you start to network with other people doing similar work, and they start to give you like information about agents who can connect you to the next role. Like you just in that industry. I know a lady that I worked with recently, like last year, and she was actually in a contract position. Like she was actually in the organization that I work in now, but she had come to work on a specific project, like a really high profile project, and she was engaged, being paid a lot of money to work for a 2-year period on this contract, on this project. And, you know, she was getting a lot of money because it's like casual rates. You just don't have the same benefits like annual leave, sick leave, those kind of things, like other employee benefits that they may have with their employee agreement. You might not have those things, but you have the benefit of having more money. So that's something to think about again, that you'll not have some of the employee benefits. Now, the third and final way, this is something that I have experienced personally, a way to earn more money. You can pretty much double your income depending what your income is. And with this way, I was actually doing this for, I'll tell you the story. So it's subletting. Subletting, where you lease a property. So this is the good thing. You actually do not have to own real estate. You don't have to have a mortgage. You don't have to have a house. You can lease a property, and then once you lease that property, once you get that lease, you then sublease that property to other tenants. And you have to let the person that you're leasing from know that you are going to be subleasing. And you could be in a lease right now, and maybe you were not thinking of subleasing, but now that you think, oh, I might consider subleasing, you have to let the person that you're leasing from know that you want to sublease, and then they give you permission to sublease, and then you can sublease your property. Now, when I was in uni, I had a landlord, hands down the best landlord I have ever had. Like, that guy and his partner, they were like just A+ landlords. So he actually didn't own the property, he was subleasing. So he had a 4-bedroomed house. So he subleased he leased a 4-bedroomed house, so his name was on the lease. And then he would take the big room, like the room with the ensuite, and then he would then lease the other 3 bedrooms. And when I was in uni, like, I had a time where I stayed in a share house, and I was renting a room, right? I was renting a room, and so he's paying pretty much, he ended up kind of not needing to pay rent. Just like with today's prices, if you're leasing a house for like $700, if you're leasing a 4-bedroomed house for 700 Australian dollars, and then you sublease that property and you charge, like, maybe, because the rooms sometimes are different sizes, you sometimes have that smaller room, which is like a baby room, and then you've got like 2 larger rooms. So you can actually charge like $250 for the bigger room. So that's $250 plus $250, $500. And then you charge $200 for the smaller room. So you get like 500. So it's now $750. And if you are paying $700 for rent, that means you are positive $50, and then you use that towards like your electricity and stuff, but you are going to use that anyway, and water, and you don't pay rates if you are renting. So he was actually living pretty well, because the majority of the rent, or sometimes all of the rent, was being paid by his subtenant. So that's another way to make money, especially in this housing crisis that we're currently in Australia, in Queensland. If you have a big property, if you're someone who maybe your kids have now moved out of home, and you have like, you could rent out, even if you own the home, you could rent out some bedrooms, or you can lease a property, lease a bigger house, and then rent out like different spaces. So I was with this landlord in one house, and because like there were such good landlords, they told me that they were moving, and I said, look, I am moving with you because you're a good landlord. So they actually leased out an even bigger house, and they were subleasing again. It was a 4-bedroomed house again, and they were subleasing. So that's another way to earn like money. And a lot of students do subleasing. A lot of single people do subleasing, because instead of paying like for a full house, you just pay for the space that you need. And there are people who have very active lifestyles. I remember, like, in this place. Not everyone was a student. Like sometimes you've got people who are single and they go to work, and then they've got a very active social life, so they're not spending a lot of time at home, so they don't need a whole house to themselves. And then because they're living alone and they're single, they want to come home to other people as well, so they prefer to rent a room instead of renting a whole house. They pay cheaper rent, they've got more money, like disposable income for their entertainment and their lifestyle and whatever. So that's another way that you can do to make another option that you can use to make more money. And the good thing is, as I said, you don't have to own property. You just have to let your landlord know that you want to sublease the property. And like a lot of homes that I see, even in my neighborhood now, like they've got more than one family living in the house. So that means like they're subletting, or they could be subletting. So you can actually sublet to your kids or your relatives or whatever, and they can pay you rent for the space that they're occupying. Like there are different ways to sublease. And the thing that you have to be mindful of is you have to be mindful that you will now be sharing your space with other people, most likely strangers that you don't know. So if you're a really private person, you can really think about this. I had a house again while I was in uni that I was renting a room for, but this was like a duplex. So they had a living space downstairs and a living space upstairs. So that's another way. If you're a really private person, you can look for these really big like duplex homes where they've got a private living space downstairs, and maybe you might want to sublet that downstairs area and live upstairs, or vice versa, whatever you need, so that you have like separation of the living spaces, that you're not sharing living spaces, and you can maintain your privacy. And there's usually like two entrances. One person can use the back entrance, one can use the front entrance. Like, you know, it's there's different ways to do that if you want to maintain your privacy, but you also want to be able to earn more money. So those are the 3 ways that I wanted to share in this video that you can earn more money and double your income and reach your financial goals. Sometimes if you've got a financial goal and you're earning a certain amount of money, you really have to think out of the box, do something different in order to earn that money. And you know, you can be creative. There are so many other ways that people are earning extra money, but these are like the common areas and like the safer options and the tried and tested and proven over the years type of methods that you can do to earn more money. And you don't have to worry about like, you know, starting a new business and, you know, managing a new business or startup. If you want to earn more money, you can just use these other like, you know, safer, relatively safer options to earn more money. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you found that video helpful, and I'll see you in my next